Good evening and welcome to Platter Chatter once again. Welcome. I'm Scott Goldfine, and you were listening right there. Opening was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, recorded recently live right over here in Long Beach at the Long Beach Arena.
My name is Malissia Simpson, and we want to say welcome. We hope you're having a good evening. Weren't you at that concert?
I was at that concert. You know, that one's the way they slapped it together. I was a little disappointed on the video because it's put together more like a music video than an actual live concert, but still enjoyable. Chili Peppers, very energetic. What are we having tonight's show, Melissa?
Well, Scott, we're going to be listening to a group, their first album called, the group is called Second Self, and the name of the album is Mood Ring. And we're also going to be listening to...
We're going to swing right on into the Pretenders, Chrissy Hyde and the Pretenders, their latest called Pact, and we're going to finish it all up with...
Snap, and the name of the album is World Power.
That's right. Second Self. This is their debut, and they're out of Detroit. Rock and roll quartet. A little bit different sounding. They use a lot of acoustics. Their songs are formed on acoustic instruments, and then they kind of build it from there. And they try to use a soulful sound, one that I think combines influences such as Aerosmith, Boston, In Excess, kind of a hodgepodge of new and old rock. And we're going to listen to the first track. Why don't you introduce it for us?
Well, we're going to watch their video off of their first album. You're going to listen to Second Self, and the name of the video is called Aunt Jenny.
Misery, end up dying laughing. I see myself in the mirror. I swear I don't need to go. Bless my soul, life goes on. Bless my soul. Bless my soul. Stay back home. Bless my soul. Dreams I shot in the box, it has grown so tall. Get in the dirt on farmer's floor. Nothing to begin. Bless my soul, life goes on. Bless my soul. Bless my soul. Stay back home. Bless my soul.
Back in studio, you were listening to Second Self. Their album is called Mood Ring, and that was their video called Aunt Chinny.
That's right, kind of funky. Definitely the most rhythmic and funkiest track on that album. Kind of a little bit like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which we had open the show. That song's certainly not really indicative of the entire record, although it is mostly all upbeat. It certainly varies a lot from that flavor of that particular track.
Well, why don't we listen to another one?
Do you want to talk about it a little? Or?
Go ahead. Tell me a little bit about this group, Scott. Second Self.
Well, I already told you where they're from. You know, I do like the way it starts off with a very distorted guitar sound in the first track called Trapped Beneath the Stone. That is very appealing to me. It starts off with kind of a boom, you know, with his first two songs, out with the second one on the record. And then it kind of dissipates a little bit. Certainly the first two tracks I was going, yeah, this one really kicks. But it does dissipate a little. And I think at this time we should listen to the second track, which is from the second side. We're going to be listening to Dream Train right now, Second Self. Greetings, once again back in studio with Platter Chatter. That was Second Self and Dream Train, one of the harder rocking tunes off their debut album, Mood Ring. What do you think of that particular track, Melissa?
Well, Scott, I thought it was a little bit harder rocking than the rest of the songs on the album, but, you know, I think it's, I hate to say this, kind of standard rock fare. It's not bad. It's certainly very well produced and very upbeat. I do like that about the album, but I just think it's kind of standard rock.
I find that they're somewhat experimental in their sound, as a matter of fact.
In what way?
Well, they just are a little different, a little off the beaten path. I don't find it standard rock. I think that they use things like the harmonica and a little bit of acoustics and changing of tempos and some different elements that make it stand out from the pack as far as rock goes. It's not easy to classify Second Self, and they're happy about that. They don't want to be pigeonholed in the rock world. And they don't really fit into hard rock, even though it rocks hard. They don't really fit into the new rockers such as In Excess or Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're kind of, you know, move about with a lot of different rock flavorings, and that's kind of interesting. Although I do find that some of the songs, the concepts of some of the songs seem a bit incomplete.
So, how are you going to rate this?
Our disc rating system of 1 to 5, 5 being best, I'm going to give Second Self, Mood Ring, a rating of 3 discs. Shows promise for a debut, but they could get their craftsmanship on their songs down a little more pat, I think.
Well, I'm going to give them a rating, Scott. I know this is going to blow you away, of 2. And I'm giving them a rating of 2 because even though it is upbeat, you know, I just don't think it's that unique.
Okay.
All right?
It's your rating, babe.
Oh, thanks.
Let's move on to the next one, The Pretenders.
The Pretenders are coming out with their 5th album. The name of this album is called Packed. Chrissie Hynde, once again, helming all the music. She's, you know, I think she's improved in the last 5 years.
Do you? Well,
yeah, I was never a big Pretender fan, but listening to this album, I think she's really improved.
So now she's no longer pretending she's the real deal.
She's the real thing.
All right, well, why don't you lead into the track?
We are going to listen to a track off the album, and it is called Never Do That. The Pretender.
One more day, it would mean so much to me. I won't make a sound, I'll just hang around. Sit where the last one sat, but oh no, I'd never do that. Take my mouth as far as you can see. Stretches farther than I can reach. Put me out of my misery. If I could keep it shut, I wouldn't be in it.
Hi, that was The Pretenders, their new album called Packed, and you were listening to Chrissy Hine, called Never Do That.
That's right. That song, very evocative of Chain Gang, an earlier hit that the Pretenders had some years ago. Just maybe a little slowed up from that tempo, but certainly almost interchangeable.
Little recycled music. You know, you made a comment about her the other day. You were saying that you thought she was kind of funky and, you know, very hip. And their music in the past never really struck me. For some reason, I never really liked the sound of her voice. I just thought it was kind of flat and kind of folksy, and I was never a big, you know, folks. But she really does have flavor, and I've had to listen to this album over and over and compare it with her other albums. But I have to agree with you. She is pretty funky.
Well, I don't really think she's funky, but I do think she has soul. And, you know, soul in singing from down here and really feeling it is not all that evident in a lot of female singers who sing pop and rock. And it's just refreshing to hear someone who really brings it from inside them. And the music that the Pretenders do is kind of subtle, and you do have to listen to it to get into it and get the subtle nuances that it has to offer. And with that, we're going to listen to the second track from the Pretenders, and it is called No Guarantee.
No guarantee what I'm getting today. Advertise so many things, and a million money. Everybody want a good time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, 2, 2, 3, no satisfaction. Oh, no guarantee.
Hello, back in studio. Platter Chatter playing the Pretenders, really essentially Chrissy Hine, because it's almost like she's a solo act. The original founding members of the band OD'd in the early 80s. They came up in 1980 and had the big hit Brass in Pocket and other hits such as Chain Gang and Middle of the Road and several substantial hits. And she's gone through many changes in the band personnel, and this is the first album for them in some 4 years and the 5th overall.
Well, I think this is a pretty good album. I think it's very well-rounded. Some of the songs, I think, fall a little bit flat, you know, but most of them, I think, are up-tempo and kind of popish, but not too much. It's like just the right flavor.
Well, most of them are dealing with, you know, relationships and commitments and things that at this time in her life she's had some kids and she's, you know, getting older, and she's certainly writing with a certain maturity in her lyrics and in the subject matter that she's singing about. There's not really one killer track on here that I think will be a huge runaway success single-wise, But the last one that we heard is a very potent rocker, and you know, there's a reggae type of thing that you were saying that you
Right.
like.
Well, you know, out of those two, though, I like Never Do That more. I just like the way it moves. I like
way it
the
flows.
way. Yeah.
There's also interesting Jimi Hendrix cover of May This Be Love, which is kind of a mellow, flowing, kind of ethereal type of thing that's kind of nice.
Well, I'm going to give this a rating, Scott, on our disc rating of 1 to 5, 5 being best. I'm going to give this a 3.
A 3. Not too bad.
I think so.
Kind of middle of the road, as one of their songs is called. I'm going to give it a rating of 3.5. Do you one better? I think it's certainly, you know, you got to listen to it a few times. Don't just go on the first listen with this one, because it'll grow on you. And a very nice record from the Pretenders.
And so, coming up is...
Snap to it. The rap singing duet of Turbo B and Jackie. Turbo B out of West Germany. He got into it in the service while he was in West Germany, got into rapping and spent some time playing with people such as Shaka Khan and Maze and Big Daddy Kane and the Fat Boys, and came up with a song called The Power. And this song just took off in Europe and abroad, in England and all that, and became quite an international success. It's now come stateside and is a big hit here as well. And we're going to watch the video right now. Snap and The Power.
That was Snap
And The Power.
and The Power. You know how I feel about rap music, but I actually liked this album. I was surprised. It surprised me. And after I listened to it several times, I mean, there's a little African beat on there, and a little bit of reggae, a little bit of island. You know, some of it even sounds kind of jazzy.